Communicating with your significant other is essential to solving problems, but sometimes couples could use a little bit more structure. Here to tell us why you should develop something called a relationship system are Tara and E.J. Kerwin, owners and marriage counselors at He Said, She Said Couples Counseling Center. It's great to have you both back on.
Thank you so much for having us. Glad to be here.
So what do you mean by systems in relationships? What is that?
What we mean by systems, it's basically when a couple is able to create strategies to stay connected on a daily basis emotionally, and also to have strategies to use during stressful times, which we are in right now, for conflict management. And there's a variety of systems: finances, intimacy, parenting, dealing with extended family. There's not just one system, and all couples are different, but it's basically developing a way to have a method to the madness, really.
Yeah, totally understandable. I think that would help anybody. So give us an example of what that would look like, because some people may be afraid, I don't want to over-plan things. I don't want to, seem like everything's so regimented, because I imagine that's not what you mean.
Absolutely not. One of the main systems we try to get couples to start right when they begin with us is just a daily check-in, is just a 5-10 minutes that every day they sit down together, they look into one another's eyes, they say, hey, how are you feeling? I'm a little bit stressed, or I'm actually feel really hopeful about the day. And, maybe say something that's challenging them, and maybe even a goal. And what that does then is then throughout the day, they kind of know what's up with their partner.
They're tuned in more.
Yeah, and they feel connected. And if you do that on a daily basis, you feel more and more connected, and you kind of avoid that thing that happens in couples where they pull apart sometimes.
They kind of go into autopilot, pull apart, and they're like living in parallel universes, which then couples start to feel disconnected.
Right, that routine, they say that's sort of the death knell for relationships. Routines are important in their own way, but like you're saying, if you start moving apart and just kind of going your own way and in parallel universe, it certainly isn't good for the relationship. So would you say that systems that you develop actually help develop the relationship and take it to new levels?
It is one of the most important things that we help couples cultivate, because when we have systems developed, there's more predictability, there's more structure, especially during stressful, difficult, or uncomfortable emotions, and it creates an overall sense of security. And by no means is it rigid. We're just kind of saying, we kind of use this metaphor, like when we wake up in the morning and we have to get our kids ready and get them to brush their teeth and get ready and make them breakfast and then go to work. It's the same thing with couples, okay? Like, we're going to be at a family party tonight, and I know that so-and-so triggers me sometimes. What's like a look we can have so we're supporting each other if I'm starting to feel anxious? That's just one system. There's multiple.
Yeah, and one thing we know is that when couples go through difficult things together, when they do it well, and they feel connected throughout it, then their bond becomes tighter. Absolutely. And systems are just a way to have a strategy to make sure when the inevitable ups and downs of life hit you, that you and your partner stay connected.
Instead of get lost in the chaos, which a lot of couples do, and that's what we've been seeing, especially in the last month or so. I think everyone's just exhausted.
Yeah, and I think, a system can be very simple, too, if I'm understanding, how you're describing it. I had a friend who, whenever she gets upset with her spouse or vice versa, they have a code word that they say, and then they all, they either go to separate rooms for a minute and cool off, or they go to a separate room and discuss what's going on. So I think it can, you don't have to break your head trying to figure it out. So if people want a little bit more in-depth information on how to cultivate these systems, where can they go?
Well, a couple things. One is we just posted a new podcast on our podcast. It's called The Intimacy Experiment, and it's all about creating healthy systems within your relationship. It's The Intimacy Experiment, and it's available on iTunes as well as Spotify.
That's fascinating. Probably something a lot of people haven't thought of. Thank you both so much for joining me again.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Thanks
it's good
so
to see you
much.
again.
Happiest of holidays.
Hey, you too. Thank you. And there is a special offer for Morning Blend viewers right now. You can get a 30-minute complimentary consultation. If you want to learn more about He Said, She Said Couples Counseling Center and how they can help your relationship, call 520-372-2672 or visit HeSaidSheSaidCounseling.com.